Hello, everybody. Big surprise. I'm back. I'm very happy to be back, of course, together with Anna Muzychuk. Once again, thanks first of all for Bigfoot for taking over after my internet connection problems. And everything should be absolutely fine, but a big shout out to Mr. Bigfoot, who did a terrific job as a replacement for me. Okay, but Anna, how are you feeling so far? Are you still excited for the next few rounds?
Sure, I feel great. Thanks. Welcome, everyone. Hello and happy birthday, Roland.
Oh, okay.
Chat, chat. Let's all congratulate Roland
Uh,
on this special day. Please drop a line with your greetings. I think that will be very nice. And I hope Roland will like it. So, yeah, just do it.
oh boy.
And yes, thanks, Walter, for it was a pleasure to commentate with you, but it's all. I am also glad that now I will commentate with Roland, and we are starting with Pool B.
Yeah, Wouter is doing a lot of stuff behind the scene. He's the producer, so he's not gone. And probably will send you a text in the chat to remind everybody that he's still here. But of course, let's talk about chess right now. Thank you for the birthday wishes again, Anna. And let's go on to the results. Round eight from Pool B. They have been played while we were on a break, and as you can see, Greece defeating IPCA, Singapore defeating, not defeating, actually being defeated by Moldova with 3.5, 2.5. Romania being defeated with 2.5, 3.5 by Latvia. Slovakia being defeated 2.5, 3.5 by Israel, and Thailand losing with 1.5 against 4.5 for Austria. Okay, so let's also take a look at the standings from Pool C. They already played. They are going to start their round while we are taking a look at the Pool B. Or actually, let's first start with the Pool B standings. That, of course, makes a lot more sense. So here you go. Pool B, only one round to go, and it seems that Greece and Romania have already qualified. They're at the top of the standings with 14 points and 13 points, respectively. But there is still some fight left for the third place. So Slovakia doing very well at this point. They have got the lead in that race, but Moldova and Latvia and Israel still got a little bit of a shot. Actually, I only think that Moldova is the one who has a shot. So we are going to, of course, take a close look at those teams, how they will perform in the last round. And well, what is the last round? Well, let's move that in the picture as well. We've got Austria versus Greece, Israel versus Thailand, Latvia versus Slovakia. One of the matches that we are going to have a close look at. Moldova versus Romania, also important, and IPCA versus Singapore. So yeah, very important matches. We're going to see who will qualify as the third team into the next division. So yeah, you've got a lot of chess ahead of us still. It's going to be a long day, everyone.
Yeah, last round for Pool B and first round for today for Pool C. I will start with Pool B as we mentioned, and the games are already in progress, I believe.
Yeah, we
And
are
we are
going to, of course, take a close look at when the games will start. They will start very shortly, of course. Uh, yeah, let's talk a little bit about how the teams are doing. So, do you think it's a big surprise how Slovakia is doing, for example? They are now in current third place. Do you think they will qualify for the next round? For the next.
I think they have good chances to qualify, but the last round will be important. Yeah, Slovakia or Moldova. These two teams have the best chances to make it to top three. Slovakia is 1 point ahead, 1 point ahead of Moldova right in the moment. So yeah, this round will be very important. In case Slovakia wins this match, they will be third or maybe even second. Okay, second, very unlikely, but they will be third, what is enough to qualify to the top division. And this will be a big achievement for them. The same for Moldova, actually. In case Slovakia doesn't play well and Moldova wins, and Moldova grabs third place. I think that's also a big achievement for Moldova.
Yes, and the games have already started, so let's dive right into them. So actually, Anna, yesterday we saw a lot of King D1s and King C2 moves, and today is no different. We've got here a nice King on D1. Yeah, what are your first thoughts about this position?
My first thought is that King D1 kind of haunts us, yes? Starting from yesterday,
Yeah.
while maybe it's not so bad in this position, King D1, was something taken on D1 or it was just King D1?
Let's take a look. I think the king started. Okay, this was the moment. So actually, oh, I know this opening.
Yeah, that's theoretical line. Now I
Yeah.
understand how the king came there.
What was this opening called again? The night. I think it's called the Nimzovich variation in the Sicilian, if I'm not mistaken. Knight of six.
Yeah, perhaps it's not the most popular, but it's like quite a surprising line. And if Y doesn't know the theory, if Y doesn't know how to react correctly, then it's not so easy to find the right moves. But Knight F6, it's like half correct line, I would say.
Yeah, I agree there. And I think that White actually knew all the theory. By the way, Knight takes c3, that was a game between Niels Candelius with the black pieces versus Magnus Carlsen. It was his way of trying to surprise the world champion in this opening once. But unfortunately for Niels, Niels lost unfortunately against the world champion. So yeah, it hasn't been played that often, but once or twice you can see this opening on the board. Instead of knight takes c3, e6 is a very solid line, but after taking d4, knight c6, takes, it's a pawn sacrifice. But after queen b6, bishop c4, black wins the pawn back on f2, and this is how the king got into the center on e2. I believe this was actually, I recently did made a DVD on the Open Sicilians, and this was one of the lines that I had to check. And I believe one of the critical games here was played by none other than Alexei Shirov here with white. And I believe actually that after king e2, short castle, rook f1, bishop c5, knight g5, white is already very, very good in this position. As you can see, white has got a very nice attacking chances on f7 with both the rook and the knight on g5, and it is very, very hard for black to defend against this. But okay, you'll never know. So let's take a look at what happened further on in the game. Knight d4, king d1, our question is answered. This is how the king got to d1. Knight e6, knight e4, d6, take, rook d8, bishop d3, and this is the current position.
Yeah, I had more or less the same game. I think I had exactly the same position like 2 or 3 moves before when I played a game versus Elizabeth Pets in some rapid or blitz tournament. So this line needs to be known. The theory needs to be known for white, not forgetting, but for getting the king on d1. White got a lot of activity. The pawn on f7 is under the attack. The pawn on h7 is also vulnerable. There are multiple ideas like knight f6 or knight g5, then taking the pawn on h7. So the king on g8 is a bit unsafe.
Yeah, looks like very good attacking prospects for white here. We'll see how that progresses. Let's take a look at board two. So this is the match Slovakia versus Latvia. Slovakia is still very well in the race for third place. So let's take a look at how board two is doing. Fatashnik playing against Norman Mises, actually two legends of the game as well. They've been in the chess scene for a very long time. Uh, yeah, your first thoughts here, Anna.
I like white's position because of the knight on f5. White has a very strong bishop on b2, starting all this diagonal. That's very nice. Also, the center is quite well protected. The pawn on e4 is protected by the knight on d2, bishop on c2, and rook on e1. A b5 maybe also played, pushing the bishop away from c6. One more idea later on, maybe to play queen f3, followed by g4, g5, active moves, or even h4, h5 sometimes is matched, as we see the knight on g6. And yeah, we may attack it. by playing h4, h5. That's why I believe black should try to open the position, and c takes b4 is like the right approach. But yeah, let's speak about if black is actually winning the pawn on b4 and was it a good decision. What about bishop d4 right now?
Yeah, exactly. Bishop d4, queen takes b4. There's a big drawback here of bishop takes f6, but also the queen looks very trapped. So maybe we can just play a move like queen somewhere here and then rook eb1.
If we don't miss the knight on d2?
That's a
But
good
if we do,
point.
we have to be a little bit more careful with that.
Okay, then queen e2.
Queen e2 followed by rook b1. Sounds good. Queen on e2 is staying under this rook on e8, and that's the only thing I don't like about the move queen e2, but maybe nothing can be.
Yeah, I
Maybe
don't see where the
not.
queen can ever go. I think that even a move like d5 doesn't help because all the squares are covered by the knight and the bishop here. So it seems to me like black is just losing a queen.
One more idea, instead of a queen e2, we could also try to play rook e3 with the idea of rook b3.
That's also very
Make
good.
it this way.
Yeah, I think this is slightly more accurate, yeah, because you then don't have to worry about, like you said, the queen being in this rook file. So yeah, this looks very good. So I'm wondering what black's idea is after bishop d4. Did he actually take? Yeah. Oh, actually, it's on the board, Anna. Look at that. Well, this looks almost over. This looks like a win for Lubomir Fatashnik. This was a poison pawn on b4, and black took it. So yeah, looks like a quick resignation in a few moves. Okay, let's move on to board 3. Let's see what's going on here. Yulia Movsesian against Laura Rogula. So that is the first women's board in the match, board 3. Wow.
Yes, I've played with both of the girls, and now they are actually not that young. Okay, Laura Rogule, I think she's more or less my age. Yulia Movsesian is a bit older. But a reminder for our viewers, please don't pay too much attention to the ratings which are in the brackets next to the players, because actually these are chess.com ratings. These are not FIDE ratings. And let's say Yulia Movsesian is rated 1900, as we may see, but in fact she is a woman grandmaster and she is rated about 2300.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was a reminder about it.
yeah, that's a good reminder. We keep reminding everyone because it's, of course, a little bit confusing there. About the position, h5, the last move being played. The pawn on d5 versus the pawn on c7, that strikes me as an advantage for white because the pawn on c7 is more or less a permanent target for the rest of the game. Yeah, I think white's doing well. But okay, black is trying to create some counterplay maybe on the king side somehow.
I really liked h5, h4 idea. I'm not sure black should play h4 right in the moment. Maybe they can also try to play bishop b6. In case white plays a4, white will stop it by playing a5. So by playing bishop b6, this is the way they defend the c6, the c7 pawn, and they may also later on develop the c8 bishop to d7. Maybe it's not the best idea. Maybe knight d6 was also quite okay. So
Yeah, maybe it's not the best idea. Maybe it is. We'll, of course, we can of course check. So after a4, one defensive idea is also to put the bishop on b8 perhaps, and then in combination with an h4 g4, you can then create some sort of battery like this. It's a long way to go, but actually the bishop on b8 is a pretty good defender there because it cannot, for example, be chased away by the pawn on a4. So if you play bishop b6. Uh, let's put it on the board. Then you got a5. The bishop needs to be back, and then yeah, it's actually just a waste of tempo. So maybe it's an idea to put the bishop here to defend this pawn on c7. But then again, this rook on a8 looks very dull at the moment. So yeah, probably not the best idea there. Yeah. In any case, let's see what happened in the game. So bishop f5 now on the board. I think black first wants to maybe put the rook on c8 and then bishop b8, which would make a lot more sense.
But if black puts the rook on c8, do we really need bishop b8? I actually wanted to
That's
keep the bishop more active. That's why I suggested bishop b6 and a5 idea.
mhm.
But actually, at the moment, no one is attacking the c7 pawn, so black shouldn't worry too much. It's just for the future.
Instead of bishop f5, would you have maybe considered to play the move f5 instead?
Maybe yes, maybe not. With the bishop on f5, we kind of finished the development. f5 was an alternative, but with f5, keeping the bishop on c8, f5 was a bit risky. Moreover, after f5, f4 is not a threat because too many pieces are controlling the square, like the uh, pawns g3, e3, and the knight on e2. So I'm not sure about f5 right in this position, but of course, especially when you have the bishop on a7, f5, f4 ideas may be dangerous.
Yeah, I agree there. And yeah, what I think is a bit doubtful is the move f3. They usually don't want to play a move like that because it how do you say, it blocks the bishop on g2 from having more and more options there. And also with the move f3, the bishop on a7 is becoming more extra to life. It's not looking at this blockade on e3 anymore. e3 is actually now a weak pawn. And if you play e4, then black has got a lot of squares for the bishop to hold on to. So I think that this is looking pretty good for black at the moment. How would you proceed? That's the big question, of course. H4 looks like a very decent move now, with all the dark squares being opened. Yeah, the more that I look at this, I really like black's position actually right now, especially because of the move f3.
Yes, maybe some ideas like h4, as you mentioned, and if white goes g4, then maybe f5. We saw something like that yesterday. in
Uh,
in
yeah,
in
yeah, I remember we saw that in an English opening, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, true, but the same idea may be also seen in this game, so why not? That's why it's actually important to know the ideas, because the ideas from one opening, you may use actually the same ideas in the other openings.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And actually also look at the time from Laura Roeland from Latvia. She is down to 4.5 minutes, while her opponent Julia Movsesian is down to 11 minutes. So a huge time advantage for Julia. All right, let's move on to the next game. We are now on board 4. So Linda Krumina versus Susanna Chibikova, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And what's going on here? Mm,
What was it? Alochen. Alochen. I'm a bit surprised. It was Alochen defense, but it was Alochen.
oh yeah, that's true. So yeah, Aljekain in the Netherlands we also say Aljechin, but in English I think they say Aljekain. Yeah, actually, okay, I'm gonna do this. Everybody, there is a new course out on gingergm.com where you can see me having a video series on this opening for black. So if you want to take a look at how you want to play this knight of 6 opening, the Aljekain defense against 1e4, then take a look at the gingergm.com shop. All right, I indulged myself there. Hope you'll forgive me. Yeah, so this bishop c4 line, bishop b3 is actually a very, very solid line. And d5 is what I used to play in my youth, but this is actually giving white a very stable advantage. If you compare this to a lot of openings, then you'll see that the construction with d4, e5 is, for example, very good in comparison to the French defense or to the Caro-Kann defense, because white has blockaded this pawn on g7. So I believe that this is not the best way for black to go to. Another move would be to play something like bishop g4. That is not right now, by the way, because there's a trick in the position, right? First short castle, then maybe bishop g4. That is one of the main lines here in this opening. But after
Also,
d5, I believe that white is simply a lot better.
yeah, I just wanted to add that before d5 was played, there's also an idea to play knight c6 followed by knight a5,
Mhm.
trying to trade this light squared bishop because the bishop on b3 is actually very active.
That's true as well. That's also a good idea there. Yeah. All right. So, but Black played the move d5, and after a4, a5, h3 was played, not allowing to move bishop g4. Knight c6, c3. So the knight is totally restricted here. Cannot move anywhere for the moment. Short castle, bishop f5, knight bd2 played, h6, knight h4, and this position looks like a solid advantage for white, I would say. More space because of this, the long-term advantage with the bishop pair, and actually already a target maybe to make some extra progress on the king side.
Yes, I like the idea with the g4 a lot. Also, the question is the pawn on d5 is hanging right in the moment, so black has to defend it
Yeah,
somehow. Rook a d8 seems very logical.
yeah, and then probably already g4 with good position for white. All right, let's move on. Oh no, let's not move on. Actually, let's take a look at, let's take a few games back because we have a result already. And yeah, this was the one that we were already more or less counting as a win for Yumir Fatashnik, because in this position, let's move back to a few positions.
22.
22. Thank you very much. Bishop d4, queen takes b4, rook e3 played, and black had to sacrifice a piece because otherwise rook b3 will come, and the queen on b4 was trapped. So yeah, this was more or less prolonged a postponement of execution. White was already having a winning position, and eventually White managed to convert it in easy fashion, it seems. All right, so let's move on, but it's a good start for Slovakia. Right, then let's move on to the first youth board, which is board 5 in the match. And we've got a pretty equal endgame here. White has a little more space though, especially on the queen side.
Yeah, sometimes the ideas like king b5 and king a6 are possible, but not now. Not now, because after king b5 there is knight c7. So I believe this position is more or less equal. It's actually very difficult to make progress
Yeah,
for both sides. White skin is a bit more active than black skin, but it's just something very some more advantage, I think.
yeah. What to say about this position? It's indeed very equalish at the moment. Is there a way that you can maybe, let's say you were in a winning, in a must-win situation with whites, how would you try and break down the black position here? What would be a possible plan, perhaps?
You you gave you gave me a difficult task. I could think about something like knight e1, knight d3, trying to push f4.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, if you push too much, you might even lose this game, because if you move the knight from f3, if I move, if white moves, doesn't matter. Then black knight may come to d4, or you prefer this line, yeah. Also,
Apologies, this is what you mentioned. Knight d4, indeed. The knight looking very strong here. And after f4, it's simply f6, and there's not really much going on, yeah. Yeah, I was thinking knight g5 because e4 is really not easy to defend at the moment, but I think white still has f4 maybe to save, but white is now in a little bit of trouble at least, so this is the point that you were making. What black could maybe, white could maybe overpush in this position. But okay, yeah, this will most likely end in a draw. So let's move on to the last board of the Slovakia versus Latvia match, which is this board. Dominika Verkova against Ramona Gosta. Um, yeah, another end game, which is very hard to say anything about. It looks very equalish again, yeah?
yeah, opposite colored bishop endgame with not so many weaknesses. The pawn on d4 may be considered like a weakness, but when it's protected so well by the bishop on e3, it's difficult to make
Yeah,
progress.
exactly. One idea that maybe is an idea for black to play for a win is sometimes you can play something like g5, h5, and then g4 to try and undermine the g2 pawn when rook comes on the g file as well. But it should not be that much, especially because white also has rook c7 ideas to try and trade off some pair of rooks. So
Yeah,
it
I
shouldn't
think
be.
white actually should trade the rooks because with the rooks on... Ah, that was a repetition.
See,
Okay.
yeah, there was already a draw, so let's move back. Yeah, so it's a draw, repetition like this, and another draw. So I believe that's a 1.5 half advantage for Slovakia so far. Everybody, keep a check on the results on the left of the board. We'll try and keep everything updated for you so that you can see how the match is doing. So yeah, keep an eye on that. So let's move on to the other match, which is important. And that's the, let's see, Moldova versus Romania match. A very important match as well. So let's take a look. I believe this is board one, legend of the game, Victor Bologan versus Lucian Costimiron from Romania. Yep. Is he doing well, Victor Bologan?
White is doing okay, but black is doing equally fine. I believe white has some initiative with the knight on f5, rook e3. No, it was not the last move. The last move was knight to f5. White is trying to attack the pawn on d6, also preparing some ideas like rook g3 or some sacrifices on g7, maybe even sometimes knight h6 is possible. But black has a target, and this target is e4 pawn. So that's why rook e6 was played, defending the d6 pawn and attacking the e4 pawn because a rook ce8 is coming, I believe.
Yeah, bishop g5 played now. One thing that I did not like for white's position is the pawn on c2, because it is under almost a whole, yeah, almost, yeah, it needs constant protection basically in this position. But on the other hand, there's no real way for black to make use of that. But maybe a plan like b5 and b4 could be very good. So yeah, I think white needs to take quick action in this game because if black can get this on the board, then it might be very difficult for white to continue. So that's why bishop g5. What could be the idea behind this move? Let's say I play b5, the plan that I was going for. What happens then?
Maybe just take on b5, take on f6 and knight d5. I believe actually bishop g5 was a strong move. Now the rook is under attack and another threat is rook c3. Win the rook on c8.
Wow, that's brilliant. Yeah, this wins absolutely the rook on c8 like this. The move that I saw was actually knight f4 with the idea to attack these two pieces, but yeah, rook c3 is a lot stronger here. Yeah, so looking very good for white. I wonder how black should react to this then. Because if you move the knight, then knight d5 becomes a very, very... well, actually, well, let's see what happens after knight d7. Knight d5, there's still... oh, okay, yeah.
Knight d5, yeah. Played on the board, and now let's calculate queen c2, queen c2, rook c2, knight f4. A very similar line, which we had in the to which we had in the previous position.
Mhm.
Is it good for white? It looks good for white, no?
Yeah, also, by the way, knight d4 was possible. I'm not too sure which one is better. I think I like your move a bit better because here maybe black has the idea to play a move like rook e5. And if you take black and take the bishop, which might be an advantage. But knight f4, bishop g6, let's say, and takes, and knight d4, knight takes d6. This looks over. This
Mm-hmm.
looks over. Okay, so maybe queen takes c2 is not the best move there. Let's see if black... Oh, actually, black took. Okay. We're closing in on time trouble as well. Black has... Okay, knight d4 on the board. Not bad, but I liked knight f4 a lot better. Yeah, this is a very, very strong move, actually. With the idea that if you take on e6, knight f4 is not possible because of rook takes g5 here. Hmm.
White may take on e6 and give the check on e7. This is another option. Black would likely go king h8 because giving this bishop is not a good idea. Yeah, bishop is7, attacking the g6 pawn, so king h8.
Mhm.
And in case we play bishop h4, we may face g5.
Oh boy.
So does it work? Maybe
This
it
might
works.
be very terrible for white. You can play a move like b4, but then after rook e5. This is starting to look a bit messy. I'm not too sure how big white's advantage can be if white has an advantage actually. That right? Nice. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, let's see what's getting on the board. So they are moving quite quickly. F takes e6. And this is currently on the board. Well, knight e7 is the only move here, it seems. Actually, maybe not. You can also play b4 as an in-between move. Then
That's
after
true, but
rook
I didn't
c,
know what to do after rook c4, so I prefer to keep
yeah.
pawn on b3. But I also think knight d4 was a bit inaccurate. Knight f4 looked slightly
Yeah.
better.
So let me illustrate that with some nice colors. Haha. Right, let's move on to another game. So we have a result actually in this match. We've got board 4. A winning game for the, let's see, the Moldova player here. Black's a rook up, and Black won that already in an early stage. So this was actually a matter of time before Black won this game. Is there another result? No, this is the only result in the match. We do have this result between Latvia and Slovakia. This was a draw we already mentioned. And here, actually, Black won. Okay, so we left this game a few moves ago. No, not here. A few moves ago, like this. White played knight e1, knight d4. This is where we left off, more or less. And after f4, f6, b5, h5, h3, big blunder, because Black played knight e2, winning the pawn, and White already resigned here. Yeah, unfortunately, a big blunder with the move h3 here. Yeah.
Yeah, I warned our viewers that if white pushes too much, if they try to play too actively, they may actually lose the game, and that's what happened. I feel a bit sorry, in fact.
You jinxed it for the white player, but yeah,
Maybe it's
it's
not my
absolutely
intention, sorry.
nah, it's not your fault. It's the white player's fault, obviously. Yeah, unfortunately for white, and that means that Slovakia seems to be doing extremely well in this match, and actually in the standings, if I'm not mistaken, they are currently the third team. So if they win, they are guaranteed to move on to the next division. So looking good for Slovakia so far, 2.5 half advantage with the rest of the game still going on. All right, let's.
I've got an update already 3.5 to 1.5. So yeah, they Slovakia won the match and Slovakia got qualified to the top division. Congratulations to Slovakia.
Yeah, this was the last game that we haven't covered yet. A lot final results here, and yeah, we left this game around. Let's move a little bit back. Around here. So f5 on the board, like we suggested, and then after taking b5, bishop b6. The bishop is a beast over here. This bishop, the pawn structure of white seems to be very damaged. And oh, black actually offered a draw here, a repetition of moves. White played on and played on and played on, losing a pawn on b5.
And played on.
Played on, and here the final result, the final mistake was bishop c5, which allowed a trick in the position with queen f4,
Mhm.
and it was over. So yeah, well, congratulations to Slovakia with the promotion to the next division. Congrats to the team. All right. So basically, all results are then the standings will be updated shortly, everyone, so that you can see which countries will qualify. But of course, we are going to find some fun chess games for you to take a look at. So let me see if I can find something interesting, since all results are already on the. This looks like an interesting position. very complicated. E6 and E3 on the board. So this is the IPCA versus Singapore. This looks like fun.
Looks good for Singapore. Maybe just E3 idea. Oh, I'm not
Probably
so sure anymore. E7.
E7. Oh wait, that's made in two. Be careful.
So yeah, E7 is not possible.
Don't play E7. Don't play it. What then? Maybe rook of one. F3 simply, yeah.
Now or after queen. Maybe to bring the queen to D7, yes, and then rook F3. Does it help?
Mm, why would that help? Because black can still play F1.
I don't know.
Um, oh, this is clever. Okay, I didn't see that. Okay, but E7 still rook H1 idea. No, I don't. I think that the queen has to move back to F7 and then rook F3.
Mm-hmm.
And
Looks
then,
like it's the best.
yeah, because, okay, let's put it on the board. Maybe, unless this is becoming a quick draw, then we're going to show the mate. Okay,
Yeah,
quick draw. Let's take a look. So my idea was here to play queen f7, king h8, and rook f3 with the idea that this mating idea is not possible anymore because there is now an air hole for the king on g3. And that is, of course, why e7 was not a good move here, because that would be made into like this, like so. So yeah, that's why rook f3 would have been a good move in this position. And yeah, I think that white can still play on for a win here. Okay.
yes, and it's better to have the queen on f7 rather than the queen on f8, so that black doesn't have a queen c7 check.
Yeah, and also queen c7 check. Yeah, indeed. Because then you can just take the queen. With a pawn up in a rook ending, that looks... well, maybe that's a
Roach.
draw, actually, now that we're taking a look at...
Take rook e7, rook f7 maybe. But maybe you could play rook f7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, rook e6, rook b7. Ah, still, yeah.
Well, this looks lost, actually. A6 maybe, but b6, and once again, we have the king on the back rank, which is usually an indication that they should be lost after a5. Well, okay, let's say play a5. Okay, the king can come closer. Well, maybe this was a draw, but it looks like white has all the fun in any case, yeah. Right. This was the best chance for black then. All right, this was a draw, as you can, as you
Could see.
okay, could see here. Repetition of moves. A draw. Let's see.
Some
Great.
crazy time troubles.
We are having an endgame session because this is another interesting endgame. Two knights, a bishop and a knight for the rook. Seems to be better for black. But how to make progress here? Is there a way that you could maybe try and win this position? Because it's very, 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 very symmetrical with the pawn structure.
And yes, because of this symmetry, white has good drawing chances. I think white should trade the queens, then put something like g3, king g2, h4, and then just wait and ask, okay, what's your plan?
Mhm.
Please show us. It's not so easy to win for black in this position.
No, I agree. What's on the board? On the board is bishop c7, queen a8, queen f3. White's basically just waiting. And after queen g4, yeah, this is the current position. Not much going on. Black needs to somehow try and push. I was thinking maybe f5, f4 would be interesting to try and maybe push to f3. Yeah, big
I
fan.
think it was some queen d6, at least asking white to go
Mhm.
g3, and then some ideas over the h1, a8 diagonal.
Oh, I was
Oh,
considering.
f4. f4, I don't like.
But knight e4 and knight g3 looks devastating at the moment.
Yeah, don't play. If you're playing with the rook in this type of position, just don't play actively. Just stay. Just
Just
stay.
stay.
Don't move.
Just stay.
Don't move. Not too much forward. Just stay. Wait.
Yep.
I
Just like
believe the
uh,
strategy is
yeah,
much better.
I agree totally. The best thing was just to wait, and eventually White ran out of the time here, and it was over. But f4 was a big weakening move with knight g3, and if, for example, a move like this, I don't know, knight d2 is even very good here at the moment. Yeah, in any case, White lost on time, so let's see which games are still going on. I can only see 3 games so far. This is board one, Greece versus Austria. Yep, I'm not mistaken with the flag there, but yeah, White is a pawn up, but Black can start checking for ages here. It's not so easy for White to win this position. But what I like about the queen over here is that it's protecting all White's weaknesses so far. So White can maybe try to get the king to b4 or something, trying to support the pawn here.
Or
Yeah,
maybe I'm trying to bring the king somewhere to the 8th or 7th rank, and then there are some ideas, to meet the queen's check with some queen trade, but okay, it's not so easy to make it.
all right. And actually, we've got a surprise once again. So everybody, we will take a short break. And after the break, we've got another guest on the broadcast. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a few seconds. Yeah, with a surprise guest. And we are back, everyone, with the surprise guest, the board one player of Thailand, Mr. Tanadon Kulpruettanon. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, by the way, but welcome to the broadcast. So, and actually, big congratulations on how Thailand was doing throughout all the divisions. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey that Thailand took? Because you started off in Division 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Um, Thank you very much. And yeah, we start in Division 4, and we expect to qualify for the Division 3, but um, beyond that, this is beyond our expectation to qualify to Division 2. So we are very happy, and it was really tough to play in the Division 2. So yeah, it was a nice experience. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You surprised us all. I was covering the Thailand team throughout all the divisions there, and I was so surprised how well the team was doing, and especially you, by the way. I think you've beaten a lot of title players, and I think your personal score was very, very high. So how do you feel about your personal, your personal your individual scores, your own games?
So I'm very happy about my performance in this tournament. I was doing well against strong players, but I think that each game could go different way because it was rapid games and it was really hard to be uh, like to play well throughout the game. And also my teammates are also doing very well, especially Prin, I think board number 5.
Yeah,
He also do extremely well in this tournament. So yeah, we are very happy about the performance. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
I was constantly looking at your individual scores, and you and Prin were actually the carriers of the whole
Uh,
team with 100% score at some point, especially in Division 4. So, yeah, well done. Yeah, Anna, do you have any questions?
Yeah, meanwhile, I was checking actually the list of Thailand team, and I see that only the top board, the player we have now on the broadcast. Thanks for joining. You are rated nearly 2200, and there is only one player more who is a bit who has whose rating is a bit higher than 2000. All the other players are below 2000, so that's very surprising. That's a great achievement for you to get it to the top division. Just one last question from me. Did you like to play online, and do you regularly play online? I mean, not only speaking about this Olympiad, but in general, do you join any tournaments?
I regularly play online, but in terms of tournaments, I would prefer over the board tournaments. However, I think that playing online tournaments occasionally is good. But yeah, I would prefer to play over the board. Uh, okay.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. We have to wait some time until all the ball tournaments will be played regular. Okay, we have some, but yeah, due to this lockdown, due to the situation, we need a bit more time so that the over the board tournaments are happening as often as they were before the lockdown. Tanadon, thanks again for joining this stream. We wish you good luck, and we wish good luck to all Thailand team. We hope to see you in some other tournaments, some other events. All
Mhm.
the best.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you very much.
thank you so much for joining us. Hello, everybody, and we are back. Yeah, that was a very fun journey that Thailand undertook, starting from base 4 and qualifying throughout the tournament, eventually to Division 2. Unfortunately, they are now out of the race for qualification, so we will not see them in the top division. And yeah, let's take a look at what happened in the last round in Pool 9. Let's take a look. So here are the results there. Austria losing 1.5, 4.5 against Greece. Israel winning against Thailand 5-1. So not a great last round for them. But anyways, they performed very, very well for their rating, Thailand. Latvia losing 1.5, 4.5 against Slovakia. The clutch game, which made Slovakia qualify for the next division. Moldova winning as well against Romania 5-1, and IPCA drawing the last match against Singapore 3-3. So here are final standings of Pool B. They are done for this weekend, and the countries that we will see back in the top division next weekend are going to be Greece, Romania, and Slovakia. Congratulations to those teams. We'll see them back next weekend. And even though Moldova won the last round, unfortunately, Slovakia was a bit more strong in the pool. That's not all. We also had one round being played in the same time as the last round of Pool B, and that is Pool 7 of Pool C. What happened there? I'm so relieved the Netherlands won their match against Albania. That warms my heart, of course, as a Dutchman. North Macedonia losing a clutch match against Spain, 1.5, 4.5. Netherlands winning 5.5, half against Albania. Slovenia losing 1.5, 4.5 against Switzerland. Italy winning 4-2 against Portugal, and Estonia losing against Jordan with 2-4. So what does that mean for the standings? You ask, I heard you. So what is the standings? Let's take a look. Pool C, Spain is now the clear leader, Italy clearly second, and the Netherlands and Switzerland are the two teams that are battling against each other for the third place. Netherlands with a lot more board points, but it's all about match point first. Even though if they are on equal match points, then board points become to play. So Switzerland needs to win every game, more or less, in my opinion. All right, so what can we see for the next round? Let's take a look. Pool C, round 8, Spain versus Jordan, Portugal versus Estonia, Switzerland versus Italy. That will be the clutch match for the next round. Albania, Slovenia, and North Macedonia versus the Netherlands. So yeah, that is what we are going to address. After this short break, we'll be back to you in a few minutes. And of course, I will still be back with Anna in a few minutes, everybody.
Yeah, hopefully we will not have any technical issues and we will be back just in a few minutes. Stay tuned. See you very soon.
All right, everybody, and we are back, of course, with more Olympiad 2000 online Olympiad 2020 games. I'm still Roland Pruijssers here together with Anna Muzychuk. Yeah, we still got a lot of games to cover, of course. Yeah, Anna?
Sure, two more rounds in Pool C, and then Pool D and Pool E, of course. Yes, we will cover everything. Let's go.
Yep. So let's go. Let's remind everybody what we still have in store. So here are the standings of the pools so far. We have Pool B that we are going to cover right now. Not anymore. That's what I was going to say because we just covered that. We are, of course, going to continue with Pool C. Everything is still in. Everything is still possible there, especially between the Netherlands and Switzerland, who will be clutch in the third place of this pool. Who will qualify? Of course, the first three teams will qualify for the next division. So we've got a very clutch match for this pool, and that is actually Switzerland versus Italy, the number 2 versus the number 4. And if Switzerland will win that match, then they've got a very good shot of qualifying for the next division. But of course, the Netherlands playing against North Macedonia, Spain playing against Jordan. We will see how those matches will go, of course, as well. Okay, so the games seem to be on. So let me see if I can already get some games on the board. The one that I'm, of course, interested in is Switzerland versus Italy. So let's see if we can find some games of that match.
Yes, Switzerland versus Italy is perhaps the most important. It's the clutch of today's round 8. And also, it will be important how the Netherlands will play versus North Macedonia because they have to win this game in order to have better chances to qualify to be in the top 3.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I'm hoping that the Netherlands will do well. That would be a lovely birthday present. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, of course, we're going to start with Italy versus Switzerland. And this is the first board game, Daniel Verni versus Noel Studer. And yeah, very solid position. We are still in the opening, but yeah, do you recognize the opening, Anna?
It's difficult not to recognize Catalan because Catalan with the bishop on g2, it's such a typical structure, such a typical position for this opening that it's difficult, to mix it with some other line. But there are some nuances in different lines. For example, this one was queen c2 and queen c4. So knight c3 and a5 played. Please pay attention to this move. Black wants to gain some space on the queen side. They are preparing knight b6, knight d5. Sometimes later on, black also puts the bishop on b4. So yeah, just to get more space. Because one move ago, white could think about playing b4 first and trying to get space, but from white side, while after b4 there was perhaps bishop d5, so that's why actually white continued with knight c6.
Let me make a move. B4 and here. I was thinking knight b6, but bishop d5 also looks.
I meant bishop d5 on the previous move if white played b4 instead of knight c3. That was
Okay.
before immediately not allowing a5, then maybe bishop d5.
Yeah, and b4 pawn will become a weakness because of the queen c3. Black can play knight e4 with more problems for the b4 pawn. Yeah. Well, that was a good explanation of the position. So white played rook fe1 in reply with the idea to play e4. And it seems like black has to make a choice to either allow e4 or to play a move like knight e4 to try and prevent that move. Yeah, what would your choice be?
I would prefer not to allow e4, but knight e4, black has to be careful if black is not losing the pawn after knight e4, knight takes e4, bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, queen c7. So this is the line I am not sure about. If this is not good for white, then I would prefer to play knight e4, but if this is good for white, then I have to think about something else.
Well, it seems like white just has one pawn, so let's try and look for something else then. So instead, actually, we can also check what happened in the game because few moves have been played. Black played the move h6, takes, e4, and now bishop b4. So black chose to allow e4, and after bishop b4, it is undermining the e4 pawn a little bit, threatening bishop takes e3 and knight takes e4. But white played knight e5, bishop is protecting the e4 pawn. I would actually say that black is in a bit of trouble here.
And knight e5, I also prefer a white position a bit more because of this supremacy in the center. Pawns on d4, e4, knight on e5, all is standing very active. Also, the rooks on e1 and another rook will come to d1, I believe. Threatening d5 ideas, the queen on c4 is much more active than the queen on d8. Rook on a6 is a bit awkwardly placed. So yeah, white has all the rights to pretend white is better.
Yeah, well, not even pretend. I think it's just true that white's better. If you saw the previous coloring that I did, then it should be clear to the viewers that white is a lot better here, even though black still has the bishop pair. All right, that's this game. We are, of course, going to take a look at other games as well. So let's move on to board 2 in the Switzerland-Italy match. This is Nico Georgiadis facing off against Lorenzo Lodici. Okay, the bishop is on b2. White has the slightly better pawn structure because of this, but it's not that much because it's very hard to make use of these two pawns or to even attack the a5 pawn, don't you think?
I also think it's a more or less equal. Knight is coming to e4, what will compensate the pawn structure. Rook 88, bishop f6 or bishop c5 after that looks quite okay for black. And I have good news for you. You know good news? Good news
Yeah.
is that
Yes.
Anish Gir is playing. He didn't
Yes.
play yesterday, but he's playing
Yes.
today.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm going
Let's
to mute
see
myself
if
again.
he has already made a draw.
What?
I don't know. I'm asking. It's not like he... But he likes draw.
Oh, don't hit me like that. No. Of course we want Anigiri to win more games. He's playing with the black side against Kirill Georgiev in this match against North Macedonia. I think black's doing okay. White's very solid, but black has more space. No
Yeah.
weaknesses.
No.
Good.
Maybe before, but maybe not, because after we play b4, we give the c4 square for white's knight.
Yeah.
What black has to be careful about is a knight b5 move. Yeah, this knight on c6 is kind of maybe under the attack, maybe taken. So,
So
what's the best move?
I play a in illustrational move. Knight takes b5. The idea is that if you take, the knight will be taken and you win.
Take, the knight c4 and
La-di-da-di-da. And white wins a pawn on d6. Yeah, this is the danger in the position. So black needs to be careful of that. And Anish played indeed b4. So now the trick of knight takes b5 does not win any material. But I'm not sure. I was thinking that maybe black needed to play b4. If you play something else before you play b4, Okay, so queen b6 perhaps was one of my moves that I was thinking of.
I thought about queen b6. I also thought about knight d5 from white side. But queen b6 looks very normal. knight d5, simply trading the pieces.
Yeah, it doesn't do a lot for the white position. Actually, black can maybe start thinking of active ideas connected with knight d4, knight d7, d5, for example. But okay, white is extremely solid. So yeah, in any case, black played b4 and now knight d5 on the board. I think black is doing very well. I'm happy that about Anish's position so far. Yeah, so the knights are getting traded off.
Trade the
So
knights.
happy that he's playing again, but I hope also that he will score well, of course, because the first day wasn't the best day for Anish, where he had a half point out of three in
Three
the first
games.
day. Yeah. Do you know maybe what he played in the previous round? I think he won his game in the previous round, right? So maybe he's fired up to win some more games there,
I
right?
think he deserves to win some games because he is a great player. So,
I'm sure he will make it happen as well. Let's move on. Let's move. Okay, so this was a sidestep. It's always nice to see absolute top players participating, of course. But the big match right now is Switzerland against Italy. So let's take a look at. Okay, let's see if this is correct. Yeah, we saw this game earlier, so let's move on. This game we also saw earlier. Here we go. This is board 3 in the Switzerland versus Italy match. So that is Olga Zimina with. This looks familiar. I feel like we've seen this opening before also yesterday, right?
yeah, with f takes d3, we saw this line yesterday.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if I can remember
Oh,
what you
no, it's
thought about
another
this.
one. It's with h4. But the
Ah,
structure?
structure looks very similar. Yeah. So this is a very different opening than we talked about yesterday. But we can talk a little bit about the structure, of course. Yeah, knight g3, f takes g3. The idea is that white wants to, well, you told me this yesterday at least, so to get some active play against the f7 pawn. And okay, the pawn might be on g3, but maybe you can make use of this f file for some activity as white. Let's see if that happens. So the game continued, takes, queen a5, king f2, takes, queen a3 check, very nice move. King d8. Wow, we got a lot of king d8s and king d1s also today. a5, rook f, h d1. And yeah, the question is who's better and why?
And the big question, I don't have an answer yet. Maybe white is a bit better because I see white is perhaps already threatening knight g5. Maybe not, maybe not actually. Queen b4 on the board.
Hmm,
Hmm.
That a good move.
I think it's good for black to trade the queens and go for an endgame. That's why black. That's why actually white preferred to keep the queens on the board, and I believe it was a right decision because it's easier to bring a white skin to safety just by playing king g1, king h2, while a black skin needs much more tempest to do it.
Yeah, it needs to run all the way over here, and then it would be a good square for the king. But the king needs a lot more squares, and actually white has a lot more active pieces, so we might already be able to try and get some initiative going. Maybe perhaps with a move like knight g5, queen f4, try to undermine the f7 pawn. This looks very dangerous for black, I
Yeah,
believe.
true. Also, if the king starts run like king e8 or king e7, then the rook will jump to c7. That will be very unpleasant. Taking the pawn on b2 is not recommendable, as after queen b2, I think rook b1 followed by rook b7. Oh no, no, this
Very, very dangerous.
what black should not do.
Yeah. We know all that pawn grabbing, as Yasser Saivan tells it, is very tempting to do, but sometimes it's just not the best. Like here, so this looks very, very good for the Swiss team. All right, let's move on to board 4 in the match. We've got Ghazal Hakimifart against Marina Brunello. I think Marina Brunello is yeah, has been playing in the female top scene also for quite some time, right?
Yeah, Marina Brunello is the sister of another grandmaster from Italy, Sabina Brunello, and yeah, she was rated about 2400, and I think she dropped some points, but she is still a member of Italian Olympic team, and she is a young player, so she will improve, I think, in the next years even more.
Hmm. And yeah, in this game, I guess that she is doing pretty well with a nice bishop pair. And yeah, the black king is kind of weak over the white squares as well. It's not so easy to break through. For example, after a move like f5, bishop takes e6 would be a very bad idea because it's already check and mate, actually, just a trick I wanted to show. And yeah, so it's probably white just wants to start pushing on the queen side somehow, create maybe some extra pressure on the c6 pawn, but at the same time, black will most likely try to reroute the knight somewhere like this, or maybe even with an e5 push at some point. I don't know. I like white, but it's going to be a long game where white needs to try and push here. But yeah, I would definitely pick white in this position.
I agree with you. What about the next game?
All right, that was this game. Let's move on. Holy, what's going on here? There's a queen on a7.
Pawn
Uh,
after black.
wow, you counted that quickly. All right, yeah, pawn up for black. And well, there's a lot going on right now.
And activity up for white.
Thank you for that summary. That's exactly what I needed, actually. All right, so pawn up for black. It's a passed pawn, but white has so much activity. I'm not sure who's better and why. I guess white's idea would be to play something like bishop d2, rook c1, maybe bishop f4 and rook c1.
Sometimes knight c4, knight a5, or knight c4, knight b6, also possible. But I would start with bishop f4.
Okay, and let's say castle rules short.
And now I think, I don't know. It's important to play precisely here because white has to prove that this activity is important.
Mhm,
We can't play slowly. Rook c1, as you suggested.
Yeah, looks like a very normal move. I actually also like yeah, I think white's doing very well after knight takes e6 is not yet possible, but there's so much pressure going on in the position right now. I was actually liking your suggestion with knight c4 because you are threatening a lot of stuff at the moment. And well, the reason why knight c4 might not be, uh, there might be something better is maybe because of bishop a6, right?
Bishop b8, bishop c4, yeah. So we are not losing the piece. Yeah, bishop a6 looks good. Knight b6, knight b6, knight b6, queen b7,
Yeah.
or somewhere there.
Yeah, nothing going on in this position for black. Black, it looks like a solid pawn up, at least so far. Well, black still has a lot of compensation, of course. The bishops are a lot stronger than black's bishops at the moment. And of course, also the knight on b8 still. But yeah, it's a really complicated position. I have a hard time making out what's going on here. Bishop f4 on the board. Yeah, Fabian Beinziger, I believe it's how it's pronounced. Yeah, has some things to prove here, and Luca Moroni just has to defend and see what white's gonna do. Interesting position in any case. All right, let's move on to the last board of this whole match between Switzerland and Italy. So everybody, this is the big match of this round. This might be a decisive round for both teams who will qualify. Oh, actually, wait, wait.
We don't move.
Black played the move g5. This is a move we did not cover yet. Is this a good move?
I am not sure. I'm not sure because g5 may also be a big weakness. Just bishop d2 now, or should we try the knights by playing knight d7 first? I'm not sure. Maybe we should not.
Or bishop d2 immediately. So after short castle, the bishop is not yet on f4, but with g5, another weakness on the board, indeed. I'm wondering if I can trick black already, for example, with taking, and queen a5, and my idea is to grab one of the pawns. I'm not sure if that works, but no, I
Queen
don't think
e8
that
may be the
works.
problem.
Yeah, queen a8. If we take the queen, then rook takes, no problem. And if we take like this, then this is a huge problem. Attacking the pieces here. Maybe it's okay for white after knight b6, but yeah, it's not exactly what you want here as white. But okay, very interesting game. Yeah, just paid some attention. Bishop d2 on the board, and let's move on to the next game. The last game that we haven't covered yet. Here we go. All right. Isolated pawn. Bishop on d4. Yeah, white's doing good.
I definitely prefer white's position. Queen f6 on the board. Now white has to trade the bishops and then maybe play something solid like e3.
Yep.
Maybe it's not so much, but white is not in a risk to lose this game.
No, looks like it's just a solid advantage for white. Yeah, and actually what I like about white's position is that black hasn't got a lot of minor pieces in the position. So what you want with isolated pawns, everybody, is that a lot of pieces to protect the pawn and to play around it so that you can have a lot of activity. For example, I would like a knight on c4. That would be awesome. Or maybe bishop on b2. That would be awesome too. Or maybe a knight. Well, any knight would be anyway a very good inclusion on this game, I think, for black. But without any minor pieces, white is just very good, for example, with e3 indeed. Yep. All right. We've got some results, by the way. We've got a result in the match. Jordan versus Spain. Anamat Nats, I think, for number one female board of Spain. Well, this looks like mate in looks just like mate in a few
Just
months.
huge material advantage, and yeah, mate is coming.
Yeah, so 1-0 for Spain. We've got another result right here. Yeah, not much to say about that. Two queens, always nice. A win for Portugal versus Estonia. So 1-0 for that team. Right. Okay. So since we have covered the Switzerland-Italy games for now, let's take a quick look at the Dutch games.
Sure. In this game, I think Rosa Ratsma is doing well versus Monika Stojkowska. Two pairs bishop advantage, the bishop on f3, attacking the rook on h1, so the rook has to move. Also some problems with the e4 pawn. The knight on f2 is very passive. Yes, black also has double pawns on c4 and c6.
Yep.
But still, I prefer black's position because of the active bishops.
I think I just agree there. Yeah, I think that the e4 pawn is the big weakness, and you could make use of that, for example, with f6 and rook e8. Try to undermine that pawn. Another idea is c3 at some point to keep the king on c1 at bay. But like you said, yeah, it's very passive position for white. For example, I would play f6 here. And if white plays g4 with the idea to play rook g1, then we're just going to play rook e8. And the e4 pawn is extremely weak and might be taken off the board in the next play. So, yeah, Rosa Ratma actually sent me a birthday message like happy birthday. So, yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see her doing well. I think she's doing well in general for the Dutch team. So, yeah, I hope she's going to win this game. Let's take a look. at the next game. So I want to see Anish Giri, we've already checked how he's doing. So let's take a look at Jordan van Vereesta's game with the white pieces here against Filip Panchevsky. White's a pawn down.
Mm-hmm.
White has the bishop pair and a pawn all the way up to h6.
Queen d7 on the board. I believe this move was played in order to get rid of the potential pin, which was coming with bishop g5.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, queen d7 definitely makes sense. Another idea for black is to play a knight e8 followed by f5, but this is a bit dangerous to open the bishops. Yeah. No, I don't think it's actually a great idea.
Nope.
But yeah, maybe something like knight e8 and then knight c7. But once again, then the pawn on a7 is hanging. It's not so easy to play. Black is a pawn up, but the position is very passive. It's a bit cramped. White definitely has enough compensation for this sacrifice pawn.
Yeah, and yeah, we still have to find ever a knight on a1 at some point. But let's now take a look at the bishop on h8. It's not yet totally restricted. The bishop still has chances to get out of this uh, position on h8, but it's if white can somehow trap that bishop, for example, g4, g5, then white would be more or less a full piece up because the bishop on h8 cannot participate. So but yeah, that's maybe not the most critical strategic idea. I like knight a4 actually, with the idea to, of course, a little trick here, the bishop activation with bishop c6 at some point. But yeah, I'm supposing yeah, actually I wanted to suggest knight b7, but that's not a really good move, is it?
Yeah, then there is another trick with knight takes b6 because the rook on a8 will be unprotected.
Exactly. So I like knight a4, a very good move here. Bishop f6, I'm on fire today. I'm predicting that move, so nice. But yeah, a better move would probably be something like bishop d8. But when the bishop comes into c6, it's very, very difficult for black to defend. White will have a lot of pressure then in the position. Let's take a look. Let's see what's going on. Takes, takes. Oh my God, this looks amazing. This looks amazing for white.
You
This
are predicting almost everything in this game. Yeah, now white has to double the rooks to attack. Oh, maybe there is a trick with rook takes a7 on the
Oh,
deck.
lovely, lovely. Yes, takes. That's the problem. And now rook takes a7. Queen takes, and la-di-da, it's going to be mate on the next one. Oh, yes.
Yeah, if king f8, if king starts to
Oh,
run,
yep.
then bishop g5 just
And
stops it.
still trapped, mate on the next move. That's a good spot there. I think he's gonna go for it, and actually after that, it's going to be over, it seems. So, yay, Netherlands doing very well. Okay, let's move on to the next game. Oh yeah, this game we already covered, so let's move on to the next one. Woohoo! I'm just gonna smile for a second there. This is so nice. Josefina Verla also doing very, very well with exchange
Yeah,
up.
exchange up, also the pawn on a5.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Let's take a look at the next game. Max Warmerdam, actually, he's a teammate of mine in the Dutch competition, so hopefully he will do well as well. I think he's in a little bit of trouble in this game, though. White is trying to take the bishop here, but black can take on d4, but then all these dark squares seem to be opened. What do you think is better here, Anna? Which color would you prefer?
Mm, I'm not sure. Maybe black should not take on d4, but maybe to take, or maybe to play f takes g6 while giving this e6 pawn, but trying to keep two bishops per advantage. And now it's a bit complicated. If knight takes e6, can we take on c3?
Yes, we can.
Maybe. again.
Knight takes f8, this bishop takes e1. So probably b takes c3 is necessary.
Then rook f1, rook f1, and let's say rook e8, considering that knight c7 is not possible because of queen c5 check. I think black has a good compensation.
I think so too. I was also checking a tactic here with bishop c8, but that's not the best move because you've got rook f8 mate here. So yeah, it looks like a good idea to play f takes e6, but it seems that okay, black is still thinking. Oh, there you go. Yeah, f takes g6 on the board. So this is going to be very interesting. By the way, white also has the chance to take with the queen on e6 with check. But I guess that after taking, bishop takes c3, the end game is more or less okay for black, yeah, because the pawn structure is totally destroyed for white. Rook c8, maybe at some point,
Maybe rook e8.
yeah, or rook e8. Yeah, very nice move. I like f takes e6, and yeah, it's white to move. We got a result. Jordan van Verreest managed to win. Josephine Werle also managed to win. So it's a 2-0 advantage for the Netherlands. By the way, everybody, on the left side of the board, you can actually see some of the results that we are going to refresh as soon as we get the results in. So keep an eye on the results on the left side. And all right, we've covered the Dutch team once again. So let's move on to once again the Swiss team. Let's see, that's this one, I believe. Yep, but I want to go first to board one. Well, actually, first let's take a look at the result. We've got a result in. It seems that it's a draw between Ghazal Hakimifat and Marina Brunello. So that is a half-half standing so far. And then we've got here, no, this one, board one, Daniel Devirny versus Noah Studa. Good, difficult position now. White's trying to play knight c6 here. Black needs to be careful, but the pawn is far advanced in compared to the a4 pawn. Is d2 a good move?
We can try it. Knight c6, queen e3.
Yep.
Let's say knight e7, king f8, bishop f3, or how to do that, I don't know. King e7. I like black's position much more. The pawn on d2 is so dangerous.
Well, the a pawn might also be dangerous at some point. Let's say white plays a5 here. I guess black plays knight c5, king g2. Black is probably going to start playing something like this, yeah?
Or maybe even knight e1 also.
Yeah, or knight e1. Yeah, a lot of attacking possibilities here for black. Yeah, this looks very, very good for black.
Yeah, the queen and the knight is a good attacking material, especially with the pawn on d2.
Yep, I like the green colors. There you go. So yeah, let's see if d2 is actually on the board. Yep, it's on the board. We're also closing in on time trouble, so let's stick with this game a little bit. Bishop f3, knight c5, and oh, what happened? Oh,
Black decided not to take.
Yeah, but played knight c5 immediately. Well, that's a bit daring, but knight c6, knight d3, still a lot of attacking possibilities like this. Queen f1. All right, that's an interesting maneuver there.
What about knight e1 now? I think black should have taken this knight, because why not to take it?
Yeah, I think so too. This is not, not so clear. Although when the bishop moves, you do have queen e4 and queen takes c6. So maybe this is still very much okay for black, I believe. But yeah, I agree totally with you. If we moved a few moves back, so I think that's around here. Black had the chance to simply take back and then play knight c5 and knight d3, but yeah, this makes things a lot more complicated. Although I still think black is doing absolutely fine like this. Yeah.
Queen c6 on the board, queen f2.
Mm,
Now something like queen c1.
yeah, just queen c1, indeed. Looks more or less winning for black, doesn't it?
There are some ideas. Queen. Okay, queen d4 we can't play.
Mm-hmm.
Queen d4 would be a lovely move, but there is a problem. Knight f3. Yes.
There's a little
Bishop is
problem there with knight f3. The idea was to mate here and say like, ah, you can have my bishop, but knight f3 wins the queen. Yeah.
So I thought about some idea of playing something like queen b6 or queen a7 with the same ideas. Maybe queen b6 was a good move.
Yeah, looks like it. And then maybe black simply had to play g6 to make a square, but then
Then all this, yeah,
it could be very...
exactly.
Yeah, all right, so let's see what's going on. We're closing in on time trouble. So queen e2 played instead, no active moves, but instead g6. I guess black's winning after knight d4, queen g4 and h5. Or queen f1.
Queen f1, queen c5.
Yeah. Let's stick to this game for a sec because we are closing in on time trouble. So queen c5. Queen d3, all right. So we need a good discovery check with black.
Knight f5 and queen takes e5 is possible, but maybe there is even something better.
Oh boy, what's this?
This way.
Don't play king e2.
But
yeah,
you can play king f1.
King g1. I think it's just going to be a draw now after knight takes a5. I don't see anything that black can do.
Yeah, because the knight on b3 was under the attack. So yeah, that's why I actually preferred to play knight f5 and take the a5 pawn with the queen, because from the
Yeah, I agree.
a5 square, yeah.
Yeah, so the knight would have been better on a5 where it had knight e3 potential. But... All right, this is going to be a draw, very, very likely. So not much to say anymore about this game. Let's move on to the next one. We've got board 2, Nico Georgiadis facing off against Lorenzo Lodici from Italy. All right, this is an interesting endgame. White is very fast with the king and this pawn. White's blockading the king side as well, so I'm not too sure. Maybe this is winning for white.
Maybe it is, but maybe it's not, because when the king comes to b7, then the rook will start the checks. Maybe the rook can start the checks even right now, yeah.
That's why probably knight e3 was played, so that the knight can go to e5. But yeah, I think that it's just going to be a lot of checks at the moment, unless white wants to play king b4.
Rook d8.
Yeah, knight e5 most likely. Rook a8. I'm not too sure white has anything here. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't think this is enough for a win. And also, wait, what? Okay, yeah, no, this is still fine. Rook a8. Maybe g5 actually.
Knight c6.
Knight c6. How can white make progress? Black's just gonna play g5. Well, actually, after this, it's not so easy. Maybe white has some chances here. No. After g5, so let's for example play king b6, g5. Black is going to try and gallop up all these pawns, and if g3, then actually it's going to be a losing matter after g3. So yeah, it should be at least okay for black here. So king b6 on the board, g5 play, takes. Yeah, should be a draw, right? Should be a draw.
Very, very likely. I will be very surprised if this game doesn't end in a draw.
Right, so let's see another game. The games are closing into the end. We are closing in on the end of this round. So keep once again an eye on the left side of the board where you can see the current results. And let's move on to another game of this match. Luca Moroni Jr. versus Fabian Beinziger. So White had a lot of compensation for the pawn, but black managed to keep the pawn, and now black is trying to convert this endgame. Bishop e4, very cheeky move with the idea to play rook g2 perhaps, capturing the rook. Yeah, looks pretty good for black. Yeah, this is going to be a very long grinding game. All right. The results are slowly coming in. I'm trying to see if we have some interesting games still. This is one of them. We also have, no, that's not so interesting. Well, actually, it might be,
Let me update the results.
yeah, this one.
Oh, Netherlands won already. Already 3.5 to half.
Ay. Rosa not doing that well, unfortunately. She is a pawn down, and that will be a loss momentarily. That rhymed again. All right, so but the Netherlands won, yeah, 3.5
Yeah.
half. So that makes me very, very happy. But it's all about the Switzerland-Italy match now. And so far as I could see, it was looking very good for Italy. So that will actually make it very easy for the standings for us if Italy managed to win the match against Switzerland. But okay, a few games left. 1, 2, 3 games. This is one of them. This looks like funny repetition here. Maybe white wants to play knight h6 and knight f7 to collect the queen. Yeah, that looks like it's going to happen. So yeah, this game is absolutely over. Let's take a look at this interesting rook ending. Once again, Luca Moroni versus Fabian Beinsicher. But I believe that this looks pretty much like a draw, right?
Yeah, pawn up, but only 2 pawns left for black and 1 pawn left for white. So now there will be checks from f8, then rook e8. Should be a draw.
Yeah, would you be comfortable allowing the king on g5 though?
Rook e8, rook a5, and then how to make it in the
How to
moment.
make this a draw, right? Yeah, you could maybe try to collect this pawn, but yeah, you could maybe try to give everything and say like, now you cannot make progress anymore. But I don't know. I think the king is just gonna run all the way with the pawn as well. And then I don't think white has enough here, unless you play something like rook g1 perhaps at some point. Rook h1. Is that a good defending mechanism perhaps? Or
With the
actually king
pawn
f5.
listed, king f5, king h4, and then a rook.
Yeah, actually, sorry, it's black to move. So king h4. Let's say king f5, h5, g1, rook h1 next, and should be a draw because the pawn is on the edge of the board. So yeah, this should be a draw. Okay, let's see if that happens. Yep, looks like it.
Oh, they are playing, but rook e4. H5, king g5.
Yeah.
Also looks good for white.
Wins the pawn on h5. You are allowing maybe king g3, king. I'm not too sure if
So
this was
it's not over. Not over yet.
Yeah, let's see. So h5 on the board, king g5, king g3, rook e3. I'm not too sure. The king is very, very active now on f2.
But now the problem is h4. H4, rook h4, and e4.
Yeah, I think white screwed up there.
Oops.
Yeah, I think white screwed up there. So, well, this looks very good for Luca Moroni from Italy. This is actually the last game of this round. So after this game, we are actually it's already resignation. And yeah, so let's explain a little bit what's going on. White needs to move, and if the rook moves, which actually needs to be played, then e4, and the pawn is far enough to, it's a check, is far enough to promote to a queen. All right, so
with this game, actually, Luca Moroni saved his team from a loss. The match ended in 3-3 result.
really, it's a free. Oh,
3-3,
okay,
yes.
Then we had some biased games, I guess. I was clicking only on the games where Italy was doing well. That was yeah, that was unlucky. So yeah, I mean, then Switzerland did a good job. I am not 100% sure what a 1-1 means for the standings, but it at the very least means that Switzerland is absolutely still in the race, as well as Italy, of course. And Spain is looking like they're doing very well. We've got one other decisive result, well, two actually. Portugal winning 4-2 against Estonia, and the Netherlands winning 3.5 against 3.5 for now against North Macedonia. So it's going to be a very, very, very exciting last round. I'm a bit scared. I hope that the Netherlands will qualify, but I don't know. The chances are a bit smaller now that Switzerland has not lost their match against Italy. So yeah.
Yeah, but I will give you some good news. Netherlands, Netherlands is on the second place now, sharing it with Italy, both on 12 points. So the last round will be very important because the Netherlands, they are facing Spain, the leaders of this pool. Not easy.
Not easy. No, Spain doing very well so far and also winning their match 5.5 against Jordan, as you guys can see. All right, let's take a look at something that I personally really enjoy. We've got Simon, who's made a very nice, yeah, individual results card for everybody. So shout out to Simon from chess.com who took the time to make this. Yeah, as you can see, Pool C is totally dominated by Spanish players. The youngster Lance Henderson doing extremely well with a 7.5 out of 8 score. Then we've got Alexei Shirov also on 7 out of 8, performing extremely well. And Lena Georgescu doing also extremely well. We also see individual results of Pool A and Pool B if you're interested. But yeah, only one Dutch player, Jordi van Vrees, with 5.5 out of 8 and the bottom. And Anna Matnatze also 4.5 out of 6, doing very well for her team out of Spain. And actually, also we saw Luca Moroni just winning his game against Fabian Beinziger from Switzerland. So he's one of the top scorers from Italy there. And yeah, I love this card. This took a lot of time and effort from our producer. So yeah, shout out once again to him. And we'll show this, of course, also later. Let's go to a break. We will be back shortly with, of course, more Olympiad games for you. And we are going to see a very exciting round 9 of Pool C, who will qualify for the next division together with Spain. Stay tuned. We will be back very shortly.
Yeah, the decisive round in Pool C will start just in a few minutes. We are going for a short break and we will be back very soon. Stay tuned. See you very soon.
And we are back. Welcome everybody to another, of course, coverage of the 2020 Olympiad. Welcome back. I'm still Grandmaster Roeland Pruijssers, and of course, I'm still here with Anna Muzychuk. Hey Anna, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm looking forward to start the last round in Pool C. And yes, I'm really looking forward for this clash between the Netherlands and Spain.
Yeah, me too, of course. I hope that the Netherlands will get through, and Spain is actually more or less already qualified. Let's take a look, everybody. The big match in round 9. Let's take a look. The Netherlands versus Spain at the top. That is the big match. Number 1 versus number 2. And the Netherlands, actually, they are still in danger for not non-qualification because if Switzerland wins and Italy wins as well as against their respective teams of Albania and Estonia, then the Netherlands is actually out of the race. So the Netherlands needs at least a draw in the match against Spain, the number 1 in the standings, to claim a victory. Well, not a victory, but to claim a promotion to the next division. So yeah. I'm a bit scared here. I really hope that they're doing well. And yeah, I feel a bit bad for Anish Giri, who actually lost his last game as well. So he is not having a lot of fun in this competition so far. But we'll see. The games are going to be live pretty soon. But in the meantime, we have a nice view for everybody because let's take a look at a quick at the producing studio. Hello, Wouter Big. There you go. He's the man behind the scenes, of course, the one that you saw this morning, and this cute dog. Yeah, who's just chilling like a villain behind him. So, yeah, that's how it looks. He's the man behind the scenes, covering us both with nice for the show here. So nice. He's still with us. Do you have
Thank
do you
you,
have pets,
Walter.
by the way? Do you have pets, by the way, Anna? Or
At the moment, not, but I used to have a parrot a long time ago. His name was Chema from the shortened version of the champion. So yeah. Oh, the parrot also had a sports name.
okay.
And yeah, it was a lovely bird, but unfortunately the small birds they don't live long, so I don't have any parents any pets at the moment. I have parents, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Do you ever want to get a new pet, maybe a new parrot at some point?
I am living with my sister most of the time, so we are traveling a lot, and that makes it difficult to have a pet because when we go to the tournament and the pet stays alone, it's not the best. Pets would prefer, yeah, that someone takes care of them. So I don't have pets, but I like the flowers. So I do have some flowers, and
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Actually, I got some flowers too. If you look behind me, then you got some nice orchids, everybody. So, what do you think about that? Nice pink flowers. Actually, my girlfriend is a fan of those flowers. So, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
nice, nice. I like it. I like it actually a lot because I like to have flowers at home.
All right. Well, we got that in common as well then. Let's take a look at the games. We've got Anish Giri playing against David Anton Guillaro, and this is board 1. So we're going to see who will qualify for the next match, the next division, and this is board 1 there. I see white's having the bishop pair, Anish Giri, and but black having the slightly better pawn structure. Yeah, what do you think is more important here?
I prefer white's position because the bishop pair is important in this position. Also, I like the bishop on h6. With the pawn on g6, it creates some problems for black king. And the pawns on c4 and c3, well, of course, it's better that one of them, at least one of them, moves to the b file, let's say to b2 or b3, any of the pawns. But the position is the way as it is. But good thing is that it's difficult to attack these pawns.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. Yeah, you want maybe to yeah, an open file on the C on the C file would be very nice, but that's not possible. So I think the black is actually more or less um, how do you say black has to defend in this position. I don't see a lot of active ideas. Maybe knight b6 could be an idea to try and attack the pawn, but I think black has a white. Let's say white black played that in this position. How would you have reacted to this?
I am thinking about pushing f5 because if we open the king, this may be very dangerous for black. I'm not sure it works if we push f5 right now, but this idea, just an
Yeah,
idea.
at some point, maybe even g4 and f5 at some point. But
Yeah.
yeah, or what about simply a move like rook b1? Is that so crazy? Trying
Mm,
to say that the c4 pawn is less important than the pawn on b7. But now that I look a bit further, I think that I am probably not playing this very accurately because black has knight e3 in this position. Yeah, that's probably
that's
not the
true.
best idea.
So queen e7 was played. Maybe black just thought that black can play knight b6 on the next move.
Apparently
Don't
it's
know.
just rook e8, so yeah, there must be a reason why knight b6 is not very good, but I have a kind of a hard time seeing exactly why. But maybe we'll find out in a bit. I think knight b6 is the only active idea that black can go for. So yeah, all right. So this is board one. We've got, of course, some more boards. We've got on board two the very well scoring Alexei Shirov with white against the also not so badly scoring Jordan van Verwees. These are probably the top guns if we take a look at individual scores. I think something went terribly wrong for black, though. I don't like the king on e7. I don't like that there's no bishop, dark squared bishop anymore, and there are no active ideas on the queen side for black. So let's quickly take a look at the opening. I think something went quite wrong for Jordan.
In the
Okay,
beginning, yeah, it looks quite okay, but then something there was something suspicious. Bishop knight d5, bishop b7. Sometimes black starts with knight bd7.
yeah. Instead, knight bd7 at some moment. Yeah, there must be a difference, but I don't. Okay, this is why. Because of bishop b6, perhaps. But still, I mean, the computer thinks that this is all right for black, but what happened after knight c7 in this position?
Maybe something like king f8, knight a8, bishop e4, f3, bishop takes a8. So black has a pawn and it's a central pawn, and it looks okay for black.
Yeah, a lot of compensation for black right here. Let's take a look then what happened. So white instead took on e7, which makes a lot of sense. King takes f3, solidifying, and but probably around here somewhere, black should have pushed somewhere, maybe even with d5 at some point, to try
Yeah.
and open up this position like this. What do you think?
I thought about d5. I also thought about knight fd7 in order that if a white goes bishop a5, then I bring the knight to c6. But maybe knight fd7 is a little bit artificial.
Yeah, exactly. Let's take. I was thinking, actually, I saw some tactical idea. What do you think about bishop takes e4? Let's
I
go.
thought about the same idea, but I wanted to start with queen c6 and then knight e4.
Ah, nice. That might be the better idea. Yeah, queen c6, bishop goes somewhere. Let's put it on f2. Then knight takes e4, and if you take back, then there's a nice compensation. Something like this would have probably be very good for black, but instead, black chose the slightly passive option with knight bd7, bishop a5, knight c5, queen d2, and white more or less, yeah, got the exact position that white wanted, and This is not looking good for black. I hate that the king is still in the center. If it
But it's not
wasn't
so
G8,
clear.
yeah.
Computer says it's like huge advantage for white, but unless there is something very direct, then it's not so clear. But of course, if bishop before g5 and something like this works, it may be crushing.
It looks like this is very, very bad for black because, well, there is a weakness on g7 that cannot be protected, and if you play g6, then h4, h5, or maybe even queen h6, this looks extremely, extremely dangerous. I fear for your
No, I agree. I agree.
All right. Um, all right,
What
let's
about the
move.
other boards?
Yep, board free. Not much going on here.
More or less equal.
Nice bishops, but no real weaknesses for black. I think white should be slightly better because of the active troops, but yeah, how would you play a position like this with black?
Something like rook d8, knight e4, bishop f6. Trying to trade some pieces.
That looks very nice. What about a move like knight g4? Just trying this out.
Mm. Knight g4, I didn't think about it, but it's so beautiful.
Well, thank you very much. There is an answer, of course, with g3. The idea, everybody, if you don't see, is that, for example, h3 takes, and queen h2 is mate. A very common idea, and that's probably why queen b8 is not a bad move here at all. But g3 more or less stops it forever. Maybe a more clever idea is actually to just play e4 to stop bishop takes f3 immediately. That's a funny move, but I don't think it matters that much. Yeah, maybe
Maybe
bishop
it's not
d6.
so bad. Bishop f6 or bishop d6. Yeah.
Yeah, I like knight g4. I hope black doesn't play it though. Oh, damn it, on the board. There you
Black play.
go.
You should you shouldn't speak about it in advance. Yeah.
I jinxed it. I jinxed it. I hope that Peng can, yeah, get rid of all the threats here. But okay, after g3 or e4, I don't think that there's much going on. There you go, e4, at least no mate in 2. So there you go. Let's move on to the next game. So we've got Anna Haast. Yeah, one of the prodigies actually in the Netherlands. She has been Dutch female champion a few times in a row now. So she is also an advocator of chess, I believe, in the nation of the Netherlands. So she is a promoter of chess. Let's see how she's doing. B4. Well, that's a nice move.
Sympathical idea. B4. If black takes on b4, then bishop d4.
Very
Attacking
nice
on
bishop.
g7.
Mm-hmm.
If black does not take, then it's not so clear what to do. If d4, he takes d6, then taking the pawn on c5, and then taking the pawn on d4. The problem is black's king on f8.
Yeah, it needs to be somewhere else. Black would have rather switched the king and the rook if possible, but that's not. This is not Fischer random chess. The king unfortunately has to take the long route like this, but it's going to take a lot of time. Yeah, not looking too good for Anna Haast. Let's see how she. Okay, she does have a little bit more time, 2 minutes. So no, I don't like her position at all. I think that white is actually very close to winning already in this position. I don't see a very good way to deal with all the threats. Well, one idea I've got is perhaps to play something like h5, h4, h3 to try and get some tricks in the position, or otherwise maybe even rook h6 and g6 if f5 is not a good answer there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like black's position at all. I think that white should be clearly better here. And b4, yeah, very nice move. Black should have if black's next move probably would have been a5 to stop that one. So yeah, this so far it's not looking too hot for the Netherlands. But okay, let's take a look at board 5, the youth board. The top scorer of Spain, Lance Henderson, is playing at Max Warmerdam. And this looks like a Caracan, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Oh no,
It's
that's not true.
French in our.
Yep. With bishop a5. Yeah, okay, this is also an option for black. Queen g4, king of fate. This is all theory, everybody. And h5, queen f4. Very complicated position. I'm just gonna cruise until we find something interesting. I like white. I've seen worse positions for white in pawn structures like this. So yeah, I think white's doing pretty well. Like we said in the on the Haas game, the king has to be gets to a safe square. So g6 makes a lot of sense that the king can go to g7 where it's pretty safe. But yeah, on the other hand, there is also this diagonal. So something like bishop takes a5 could be very strong here for white.
In fact, I think it's still a theoretical line. At least 2 moves ago, it still was a theoretical line. White's plan is now to push c4, maybe rook d1 and c4, or maybe c4 immediately, because white needs some active actions while the king is still on f8.
What about taking and something like bishop d4 to take total control of the black squares? Is that a good idea?
Oh, some positional play. Yeah, it's a good idea because bishop f5. Now e takes f5 was dangerous because of e6. That's why, yeah, Roeland preferred g takes f5, which makes much more sense. And then bishop d4, because white wants to underline that knight is much better than the bishop on c8, because look at the pawn structure. Yeah, this bishop
Yeah.
is like the big pawn. So it's another idea. One idea is to play c4, and another idea is to somehow get this structure after, and after that, after the trade of the bishops, we may also think about regrouping the knight to c5, to the outpost. So yeah,
Yeah.
will look good for white. Finally, we see something good for the team of Netherlands, because the previous
Finally.
positions were a bit shaky.
Yeah, finally, I'm very happy to see at least one good game. We also have one extra board, and that is the last board. That is Elina Rubers. She's playing against Maria Izagirre. Hey, another good position for black, I believe. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
this also looks good. Very strong knight on d5. Rook is coming to c8. The king on d7. Yes, it's under the pin kind of, but it's closer to the center, and it's difficult to use this pin from
yeah.
white side.
Mhm.
I definitely prefer black's position.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. I don't know. Sometimes I think you want to trade one pair of knights, so that there you go. And then after knight d5, you have got all your pieces in good squares because a knight on b6 was for the moment not doing so well. But with a knight to d5, it's looking very good for black. After rook c8, all pieces are doing extremely good. While the knight on f3, yeah, still needs to be rerouted somewhere, but to be honest, I don't see any targets for white anywhere, while black has for rook c8 and a good knight on d5, a big target on the c file. So
Yeah,
yeah,
also some plans like b5, b4, trying to get this bishop out of c3 square, then penetrate with the rook to c2.
mhm,
A good trade for black will be to trade the e7 bishop for f3 knight, because then white's dark square bishop will be just a very passive piece, considering
yeah,
comparing with the knight to on d5. Yeah.
yeah. So this is a classic good knight versus bad bishop concept right here. All right. So yeah, another good game for the Netherlands so far. I want to check how Anish Giri is doing. That's the big match a matchup against David Anton Diallo. He's been playing very good the past years for himself individually and also for Spain. But let's see how he's doing now. Okay, so Black took the passive approach. He just wants to hold the position played b6 instead of knight b6. And white is trying to find a good way to break through. The time scramble is more or less equal here. Yeah, I still think the white is doing good, but at some point, I guess g4 and f5 needs to be played, perhaps, and try and make progress somehow, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, white needs somehow to prepare this breakthrough. But if white manages to do it in a good way, then these bishops will be very strong because otherwise. But black has no active options. Black just has to wait and to see.
There's
And
not much else black can do now. If you play e5, then you've got f5 against you. That's not what you want. If you play b5, well, then you lose a pawn. If you played something, yeah, it's also this bishop. If the pawn was on g7, then maybe black would have had more chances. But yeah, there's no other choice for black than just to patiently wait and hopes that, oh,
e5 played, but
never
I
mind.
don't like it so much.
Just
I
that.
think black had to wait until white plays f5 first and then bring the knight to e5.
But
Now
this is
it's much
strange.
easier.
This is really strange. The computer really doesn't like f5.
Doesn't like f5.
Yeah, maybe because of
e5.
g5 as an option. So maybe the better idea was to play bishop g5 first. And now f5. Nope, scratch that because there's a tactic over here. So never mind. F5 most logical move here. Then I don't know what will black's idea be. Maybe it's just maybe it's just a computer not looking far enough. Yeah, could also be the case.
Because let's take a look at g5. What if white plays rook g3 now? Yeah, now knight f6 or rook f6 is not possible.
Yeah, so probably a move like queen f6, but then queen h5, I suppose. Trying to get this one. Black does have knight e6 now. Because if you
Not
take
bad.
the knight, then queen takes f1. And if a knight comes to f4, that looks extremely dangerous actually right now. Wow, maybe white needs to be careful here. Is there a better plan for white after? You always can sacrifice a pawn, but I don't think. Maybe just bishop d1 or something. Nah, I don't know.
Bishop d1, bishop h5, and bishop g6. I don't know. Looks nice, but if just knight f6.
Just knight f6, yeah. Yeah, attacking e4 as well. No, I don't know. This g5 move looks very, very dangerous for white. So, but yeah, it has not been played actually. Black took on f5, and but
That's
now
surprising.
now
You
I'm very
should not
comfortable.
open the bishops.
Yeah, because I don't know. For example, if you now go again for the queen f6 approach and knight e6, then knight f4 is already less strong because it doesn't get support from a pawn on g5. So I don't know. This makes me happy. It looks very good for Anish. I really hope that he bounces back. All right, next game. Alexei Shirov versus versus Jordan.
Oh, poor Jordan, I would say.
Jordan. Yeah. If you take queen h8 threat, take on e4 threat. This looks actually over. Bishop takes d3 looks like the only move.
Bishop takes d3, queen h8.
H8, king here. Guessing
And rook d3 or bishop b4. Rook d3 maybe.
Yeah, if bishop b4, then knight d6, and the queen is under attack. But probably even this is still good after queen h4 check. Then rook takes d3. Yeah. Oh boy, this is not looking good for Jordan. Alexei Shirov, legend, but still playing also like a legend. So very good for him. If that sentence made sense, but okay. Yeah, next game. So looking good so first board looking good for Netherlands, second board looking good for Spain. Now let's go to board 3. Yeah, draw, but I don't know.
Draw already. I
No,
think the position is full of fight, and Roland came. Okay, it's a draw.
Uh, no, actually, I would prefer black here, but because look at this bishop and look at this diagonal here. I think in the long run that could deliver a lot of problems for white here. And I also know I've played against Peng quite often, and I actually know that she is a big fan of playing with bishops like this herself. So I know that she knows the value of bishops like that on b7, which have a lot of potential like this. But yeah, do you think that black is better, or do you think that it's still within drawing margin?
I think black is a bit better.
All right. Would you also take on a c4 maybe, or would you leave the knight on e5?
I'll try to keep the knight on e5 because this bishop cannot actually move anywhere. While if there will be the threat, if the bishop will be going to move somewhere, then I'll think about taking it.
All right. So for example, if white ever plays b4, then it would be interesting maybe to take because the bishop is planning to go to b3. Yeah, well, I like a6 as well because, well, the knight needs to go somewhere, and I think the knight needs to go back, but then a move like b5 might be interesting. The bishop does not have a lot of squares at the moment, so yeah, this actually is looking not too good for Peng on this board. Is there a way that we can um, find a good place for the knight somehow?
Just try
Yeah.
one by one, all of them. There are still places we can retreat the knight.
Yeah, well, I think actually that I don't want to retreat the knight. I want to push the knight forward, actually to
Ah,
d6.
this is the idea, yeah.
Yeah, so if the queen moves here, for example, then you've got knight d6 perhaps, and that's a little more comfy than going to c3, I think. And if you play b5, then I guess after well, actually, I need to take care of b takes c4 as well. But it looks okay after knight a5, I think. Yeah, this should save white. I think that playing active like this might save the position for white, but still, I think white's under a lot of pressure. Okay, this is actually on the board. Yeah, there you go. Queen f6, knight f3 doesn't do much after king g2. Yeah, and actually queen f6, the bishop on b7 is unprotected, so if you go here... Oh, wait, what about f4, e5? Is that a good idea?
F4, e5. Well, we open the diagonal for the bishop, but on the other hand, we strengthen our knight on d6, so that makes sense.
I think that maybe white has a chance to bounce back here if black is not careful. 96 on the board. Anna Matanat's still thinking. Okay, so I'm a bit more comfortable in this position. So yeah, let's take a look at the results. So indeed, Alexei Shirov winning his game against Jordan van Verreest. Knight takes g7, queen takes a8 wins already an exchange, and white's already a pawn up. So yeah, normal resignation for Jordan. Unfortunately for him, let's move on to the next game. So we've got this game. Anna Haas, as we've got now this game, this position on the board. Okay, not looking too good. Piece down against two pawns actually. But yeah, this should be over pretty soon, I believe. Maybe rook e5, but I don't know. A piece is a lot.
Yeah, she has some drawing chances, but objectively it's not good. Some queen c6.
Rook e7, queen c6. Yeah, queen c6 probably very good with rook e8 ideas and covering any checks with queen d6. Nope, this looks, well, there you go. This looks very, very good for white. So let's move on to the youth board. Hopefully this will make me feel a bit better. Max Warmerdam. Let's take a look. This is the current position. So he went for the dark squares approach instead of the, well, actually, and the king is now on d7, where it's safe. And, but yeah, White should be good. What would be the plan for white, though?
To trade the dark square bishop somehow, but how?
Yeah, but how? You could play knight bishop d6, but that loses a pawn.
Maybe it's not a big deal.
Yeah, maybe it's worth it. Rook b4, not a bad move either. The big thing in black's position is that the rooks are not connected at the moment, and the queen's only move is to go to c8. But let's check your suggestion a little bit. Bishop d6. Let's say takes, e takes. Okay, I'm just gonna indulge with king takes d6. What's going to happen then?
You are not afraid of anything. There are so many moves that are attractive, like queen a7, queen e5, knight e5. So I am a bit lost.
This requires some huge calculation. But actually, let's move back to the game because black is closing in on time trouble. Let's see if there will be a big progress at some point. So bishop a5 on the board. Rook b1 back, okay. That didn't do very much. Bishop c7, draw offer would be my quick move here. I don't know, I think white, yeah, there you go. I think white's pressuring a lot here. So bishop d6, a very interesting idea. Another idea would be maybe a4, a5, bishop b6 to try.
I like it. I also like this idea.
Maybe also knight d4. Okay, that's not a move I expected. Queen h. He's a pawn grabber. He watched too many Yasser Seirawan broadcast. Just grab a pawn. No, why not? It's not that bad. Well, actually, yeah, you are threatening to take here because of 7. Okay.
Rook b1, rook b1, rook b1.
6.
Did black actually need this move?
I think taking the pawn would be good, yeah. It's just a pawn.
Taking the pawn, queen g8.
Knight h4.
Rook g7.
Queen e2.
e2?
Yeah, the queen is on h5. Oh,
Yeah,
never mind. Never mind. Queen f3, I mean. Okay, let's move. Let's put it on the board. Queen g8. Here I blundered with my train of thought with Anna. I played queen e2, but there's a bishop on a6, so queen f3 would be better, but then the pawn on e5.
you could try knight f5, but knight f5, rook g2, and rook g5.
And it's very, very dangerous. I'm not sure that would be good for white.
Maybe queen f3 preparing this sacrifice.
Yeah, but bishop takes e5.
And knight f5.
Okay, let's go.
I don't know.
So
Bishop
here.
e2.
Let's go.
That's some move. But it's not a bad move. Is it so bad?
Is it not a bad move? No, probably not.
If queen e2 is a forced mate, if rook b7 it's just king e8, no, king c8.
Yeah, I'm trying to find something here, but okay, we're moving way ahead here. Queen takes.
You're just having fun, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. Queen e3 on the board at the moment. So, okay. Yeah, he didn't dare to take on h5, but actually that's totally fine. The rook on g6 is not doing very much at the moment, and if that's my move, by the way. Oops. Queen g8 maybe, but then knight h4. The knight is actually pretty safe on h4. It cannot be attacked anyhow. And maybe bishop d6.
And there is one more result, but who won, who lost?
Yeah, so not in this match. We have a result in the match Estonia, Switzerland, a result for Roeland Lutscher. So that is looking very good. We have another result here. Macedonia, North Macedonia lost against Slovenia. And we've got more results here. Italy winning a game. And we've got here as well, Italy winning a game. So Italy performing like they should. If they win, they qualify for the next round. Looks very good. And here, Switzerland, a draw. And that is more or less all, folks. Okay, let's move back to the Netherlands-Spain match, the big match. Let's move on to not this one. Not this one, but this one. Right, so this is the last board. Elina Rubers was having a very nice position, okay. And now we have a knight ending on the board. Do you think black has any potential here? Also look at the time, everybody. They are closing in on time trouble.
I think black has some chances to win this game, but it's not easy. It's not easy. H4. Oh.
I like this. Maybe some potential against h3 pawn. So actually, I think black is searching for its subswung because if the king moves, then the king moves to d5 with more potential. If the knight moves, then the knight moves as well, also with more potential. So this is what, yeah, this is not a move I like because this might be the subswung move that that black needs somehow. Yeah, just reroute the knight to d5 perhaps. I don't know. It might
Good
simply
idea.
be,
Knight d5, knight d3,
oh,
king
that
b5.
time again, sorry. Nah,
Knight
actually,
e2 is knight e2 is the best.
knight d3 played though.
Oh, knight d3. Aha, king d4, knight c3, knight c1.
Yeah, so once again, no subswung because if the king moves, the king moves, and if the knight moves, the knight moves. So I think knight is okay. Knight has opposition at the moment, so this should be a draw, unfortunately.
Maybe
Yep.
to try knight d5, knight e7. Not like it's winning, but just try to play.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Oh, actually, I'm very happy to announce that a Netherlands team player has won. So here you go. White Max Warmerdam winning against Lance Henderson. That's kind of an upset because Lance Henderson was doing very well for the team of Spain. So here you go. Ah, okay. So I think that White got Bishop d6 on the board at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Right here, takes, and then all kinds of threats came in the position. This looks already kind of over. Queen b6,
Yeah, no.
sacrifice. Let's get in there. Get in there, Max. Like Max Verstappen would also take turns in a Formula One race. Right, never mind. Bad joke. King f5, king h7, king f4, g3. Basically, the king got mated, and this is now over. Okay, wait. I got a big message. I got a big message. Here we go. Anna Haas. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Okay, she was totally lost, but she's turning it around. What happened? What happened? Let's take a look. So, okay, white is still a piece up. Bishop g5, queen e5 on the board, bishop d8, but now d3 takes queen d4. Nicely done. Aha.
And Anish Giri won.
Anish Giri won too. Oh, that's perfect. Because if Anish Giri wins, then it will be at least a 3-3 if Anna Haas wins too. And it seems to be like it. So, all right. Let's move on. Let's see what's happening. Oh, there you go. Anna Haas won. That means that the Netherlands is through. The Netherlands is through. I'm so awesome. Okay, so Anish Giri also won.
Is it the Dutch tradition, to keep everything intense until the very last moment, to start slowly, to start with two draws with the weaker teams, and then to beat the strongest team in this pool? Is it the way you do the things? Huh?
So awesome. Yeah, they made it exciting for us, but they were just playing around. Of course, just playing around. And here we got Wouter Big also cheering for the Netherlands. Let's go. Let's go. Anish Giri coming in clutch and Anna Haast also coming in clutch. This is awesome. We'll see them next week again. Yay. Let's go. All right, so let's take a look at how Anish won this game because this is already very nice. Something that we also need to mention, of course, is that Spain already went through with their team because they already couldn't, they already were qualified before the start of this round. So Spain is already through. But okay, let's see how Anish won this game. So we left it off at about, yeah, just clicking through it.
It's somewhere here.
Da-di-da-di-da. Okay, rook to g3. So okay, we just saw the black took on f5, e takes f5, and now after rook g7, black went for an exchange sacrifice. White did not take it and simply started pushing with the g pawn. Black can take the pawn, cannot take the pawn because of bishop takes, queen takes, and bishop d4. Check, winning. Okay, so what happened then? Knight f6, rook g3, and simply knight f6. Okay, white just started pushing the pawns, and one pawn in this case. These pawns are absolute beasts, and eventually it seems that white simply broke through in the position, taking his time, and after, yeah, just blowing through the black position at the moment, just slowly making use of all the weaknesses in the position. And it is over now.
Yeah, yeah. I think this game is a nice illustration how actually people should play when they have two bishops per advantage. We saw that in a one moment, white didn't even take the exchange to keep the bishop on the board. Yeah, many moves ago.
It
Rook g7.
went a bit
Yeah,
quicker.
here, right here, rook g7 was played by, but white didn't take the rook because in case white took the rook, then queen g7 and black would have control over the dark squares. The c2 bishop would be passive. The knight would have a nice squares, nice outpost, and it would be much more difficult to proceed. So white didn't take the rook, but they preferred to play bishop d1, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, bishop d1. And the bishop on h6 is actually helping to push the pawns to push g4, g5. This bishop is actually a monster, and it's worth more than a rook.
I agree there. And this knight on c5 may look very good, but it cannot really help against all this pressure coming in on the king side. So yeah, very nice classical game. Very nice game with the bishop pair from Anish Giri. All right, but this is of course not all. I'm very happy that the Netherlands is through, but let's also take a look at some games that are still going on. We've got a few more games. We've got Albania versus Italy. I think this is the youth board, if I'm not mistaken. Looks like it. I'm not 100% sure.
But Italy already won the match, so basically at this point we can already say that Spain, Netherlands, and Italy, these three teams qualified to the top division. Congratulations to them.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy about the Netherlands. Yes. Oh my God, but that was so exciting. I mean, if Anna Haas would have lost that game, then maybe it was not enough because a lot of other games were looking very bad for the Netherlands. So I think Anna Haas winning that game was very clutch. All right, but enough about that. We'll of course keep you updated on the standings after all the games are done. This is actually the last game still going on, and Italy already winning the match, but yeah, can maybe put some more glory on their qualification cycle here. It looks like white is simply going to win. Yep, and that's all she wrote. It was
A pawn is running.
Yeah, A pawn is running, C pawn is running. This looks just extremely over. All right, so yeah, we of course once again keep you updated on the results. Switzerland doing what they had to do, winning 5.5 against Estonia. And as I mentioned, Anna Haas really coming in clutch because it was a really tight match between the Netherlands and Spain. 3.5, 2.5 victory for the Netherlands. The other results are also more or less in Slovenia winning against North Macedonia 3.5, 2.5. Estonia losing, like we said, a half point against 5.5 against Switzerland. Italy winning 3.5 against Albania, and Jordan losing against Portugal 5-0. Not all the results are in, but at least the match points are already decided. Oh, this was such an exciting last game. I'm so happy. Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
for the birthday present, Dutch team. Thank you. This is exactly what I wanted. Very
I
nice.
think, yeah, that with this, it's definitely not the worst birthday of your life.
Absolutely not. They came in clutch, and special thank you to Anna Haas who came in clutch there. Nice job there with the Queen D4 trick. So yeah, that is Pool C. So let's talk a little bit about how Pool C progressed. So did we see any surprises in the standings, do you think, or do you think that on paper the top three teams qualified there?
Are you speaking about Pool D or Pool C?
Pool C at the moment.
Pool C, well, Switzerland was actually very close to make it to the top three. And I think it would have been a surprise if Netherlands didn't qualify. And yeah,
Yeah.
it was very nervous up to the last minute almost. But yeah,
Yeah.
strong team. They made it. They made it. Congrats to them. Let me
Yep.
remind our viewers about which teams qualified from the previous pools, because maybe not all of you stayed with us from the beginning. So from Pool A, 3 teams that qualified to the top division are Bulgaria, Germany, and Indonesia. From Pool B, the top 3 teams are Greece, Romania, and Slovakia. And now from Pool C,
Okay.
Spain, Netherlands, and Italy. And today it will be also decided which teams from Pools D and Pool E will qualify to the top division. I am looking forward to these matches as much as I was looking forward to the games in the previous divisions, in the previous pools.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I'm very happy that the Netherlands came through there. And of course, we still have a few pools to go. This is, of course, not the end of the broadcast, everybody. And let's take a peek actually at the results from round seven. So we've got in Pool D, because Pool D played round seven while we were taking a look at the last round in Pool C. So we've got Serbia drawing their match against Norway. That was a big match. Turkey so far 3-2 against Sweden. So there is still one game going on there. And we've got Denmark winning against Chile 3.5, 2.5. Guatemala 2-4 against Iceland. Ireland winning 5-1, losing 5-1 against, let's take a look. Against yeah, they were winning. So yeah, there you go. Actually, we also got a nice meme, nice, yeah. Well, we know how Anish Giri likes to draw, and this was a very interesting meme that actually was posted by Anish Giri just now with winning a match with the Netherlands. Anish Giri drawing and winning, and sometimes Anish Giri does like winning, like he did, of course, for his team in the Netherlands. Coming in clutch is in the last moment. Still one of the best players in the world, of course. Very nicely done. Yeah.
Oh, that was a very cool tweet from Anish Giri. I knew something like this we had to expect, but I didn't hope we would see it so quickly.
Yeah, actually, we do have one game still going on. Portugal versus Jordan. Yeah, was hoping that was quite interesting. Well, we got another knight and rook versus rook ending. Okay, this is
Oh,
actually
our favorite end game, right?
yeah, exactly. We can talk hours and hours about this ending, of course. All right, but it's already a draw, and now it's actually official. So that means that Jordan actually got a half point, saving the glory for his team in this round. Oh well, yeah. Wow, Anish was so quick with his Twitter tweet. He's not for nothing called one of the Twitter kings in chess. Yeah. All right.
True.
Yeah, that is all. Maybe we should Yeah, just take a look if the individual games results are already done, or maybe just the official standings of Pool C. I don't think we have shown that yet, so let's take a quick look at that. Nope, nope, nope. My producer is saying nope, we're doing something
Not
else.
ready.
Nope. We are going on a short break, it seems, everybody. So, and we will be back, of course, with the results and the standings after the short break, after this exciting match. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly.
See you very soon.
Hello, everybody, and we are back. We still had something to show you, of course, so we are here to give you the final results, of course, of the Pools C because they are finished, and we've got a lot more, of course, going for you today. Still, we are still not finished with today. We still got Pool D and Pool E to take a look at after this. But yeah, the final standings of Pool C, we've got Spain, the Netherlands, and Italy qualifying like they should. They were the favorites to qualify in this pool to the next division, the top division for next weekend. Okay, and now of course, Pool D, that's the one that's still going to go on. And after our long break of an hour, we will cover the Pool D. And yeah, that is actually all that we still needed to mention. But stay tuned, we are going to go on a long break. We commentators sometimes need a little rest as well. I like to have dinner and send my Dutch colleagues some nice messages to congratulate them, of course, for their qualification for the next round. But hey, we will be back in 1 hour, and yeah, so a lot of chess still to enjoy.
Yeah, this was like a happy stream for Roland and a happy stream for our viewers who are rooting for the team of Netherlands. We are going for a bit longer break, but after 1 hour we will be back and we will be covering pools D and C. So please stay tuned, be back in 1 hour, and yeah, we will be glad to see all of you in 1 hour.